Welcome to What a Creep, the show with Mark O'Donoghue and Sonia Mansfield talking about creeps from the past to the present.
This is your quick guide to the biggest creeps, jerks, assholes, and losers, the best of the worst.
From two nice ladies who want the world to be a little less creepy.
Welcome back to What a Creep. This is Mark O'Donoghue, and my cohort in creepitude, as always, is the amazing Sonia Mansfield. Hey, Sonia.
Friend.
Hello, my friend. You are out in San Francisco. I am here in Brooklyn, New York. We are two friends that talk about creeps every week. We talk about creeps from the past to the present. Today, we're talking about a world-famous creep that's been around for a long time. A beloved man. This is going to be tough for some people.
I did not do any deep digging on this one because I want to hear all the stories from you.
Which is what we do. And we want to make things clear. I'm not accusing, this person is not to be accused of murder or anything really, horrifying and terrible. You can like someone.
He's just a creep.
He's just a creep. And you can like someone's work, but just not like how they behave. Those are two separate things. So just keep that in mind. Also, we do have a basic Facebook page. That's where people go to complain about our language.
We use salty language, you fucking creeps. Yeah. Woo! Deal with it.
And it's also a place where people complain because we don't let them into our private Facebook group. Yes, we do have a Facebook group. You have to answer 3 questions in order to join it. So you type in What a Creep Podcast group in Facebook and ask to join. And we just talk about creeps and pop culture and just stuff. Animals. We post pictures of our pets. It's like a really nice, safe place to hang out. Yes, it is. We're on Twitter. Long as Twitter exists. Did you hear, by the way, Twitter, April 1st? I don't know if it's an April Fool's joke or not. They say they're going to get rid of all the blue checks. People who've had blue checks before, you're going to have to now, right?
Whatever.
Yeah. So we're on there at Creep Pod because somebody had What a Creep on Twitter for over 10 years and never used it.
Creep.
We're on Instagram. Please follow us on Instagram at What a Creep Podcast. We also have an old-timey email, whatacreeppodcast@gmail.com. And if you would like some stickers, send us an email, let us know. And wherever you are on the planet of Earth, including, I think it's Sydney or Melbourne, Australia. I just sent some out the other day to somebody who said, I'm on the planet of Earth. Can you please send me one? I said, nice. Nice. So do you want to tell them about our website?
Yes, you can go to whatacreeppodcast.com and it's everything you ever wanted to know about our podcast, but we're afraid to ask. It has links to all of our past episodes, and you can dig in a little deeper and open those little blog posty things or whatever we like to call them. And it has all of our show notes, and we link all of our sources for every single episode. We don't make this stuff up, and we want to give credit where credit is due. So go and check them out. It's a great place to learn more about our creeps. If you want to do your own research too, feel free. There is also a link to our merch shop where you can get t-shirts and tote bags and journals and all kinds of awesome stuff with our faces on it. Put our face on your stuff.
I'm cracking up over here.
Who doesn't want our face on their stuff?
Sit on my face and tell me that you love me. That's Monty Python.
And there's a link to our Patreon page if you would like to tell them about that, Margot.
Absolutely. Patreon. I want to thank Christina and Leslie this past week for joining us. Thank you. We put out 2 bonus episodes a month, and we also have our first 5 seasons up there. I'm about to put season 6 up there. Try to do that 3 times
Whoa.
fast. Hey-yo. So also a newsletter. That's what you get, and that helps us. Really, it just helps with the bones of putting this all together, the subscriptions and the software and all that crap. So thank you all so much for doing that. And, if money is tight or you want to think of even more ways to help us, follow us on social media and be nice and retweet or whatever. That'd be great. I feel like Twitter's just a dust bowl right now. I don't know how you feel, but
it is. Twitter is very strange animal. There's a lot of stuff going on with TikTok right now too. So, follow us on all the things because we never know what's going to happen with those social media channels. So
Indeed. Also, you can just, wherever you get your podcast, be sure to like and subscribe. If you can hit the star button, if they ask you to give stars. I want to thank Christina Bigheart because she left us a 5-star review for this, and also for dorking out. We really appreciate it. And Spotify now, you can actually give your review at the end of a podcast. I want to thank Kellyanne, Laura G, Alexis, and Wits End for leaving positive reviews. Wits End says the commercials are too loud. I'm sorry, we have no control over that. I wish we
have
did.
No say over that, but I hear you. That happens to me on my television all the time.
Yeah, and sometimes, for me too. I put it on, I'm like, boom! I put in pauses, like I'm really hoping that it goes in the right place, but we do the best we can, but we appreciate you doing that for us. Okay, Sonia, I think we went through everything. Should we get into our comedy creep today?
Yeah, let's do it.
Now, I just want to say, in the comedy news this week, and we're probably going to have to do another special episode because fucking Chris D'Elia still out there creeping. 2 of his cohorts, David Cho and Bobby Lee, are on the latest list to be canceled. And I'm not going to say it's pretty fucking gross, but
I have not heard this. Holy shit.
It's happened in the last day and a half. It's all over Twitter, all over TikTok. It's Bobby Lee, and he has a story about Tijuana. And trigger warning, it's sexual assault with a child. So
Jesus fucking Christ.
And blatantly saying, we can't get canceled because we're comedians. It's just a joke. It's not.
Fuck these people.
This person hasn't done that, I want to say, by the way.
Yes.
I'm not roping him in with that, but there is, I would just say, a lot of toxic masculinity in comedy. Has been, maybe always will be. I'd hope that wouldn't be the case. You and I were talking off the air about him, like, how would I describe him? And you're like, is he handsy or is he just a creep? I'm like, he's kind of both. I also think he's just a really angry guy. And you're a tall, successful white male in this world and who doesn't have any boss. You know what I mean? Don't whine to me about what you're angry about. Yeah, I have no time for it, just so you know. So Bill Murray is comedy legend, who first came to fame as one of the not ready for primetime players. Primetime players, that's a whole other thing from like back in the day when television had 3 channels, primetime TV.
Yes, and primetime was 8 to
11.
10. Yeah, well, 11.
It was from Saturday Night Live from 1977 to 1980. He has gone on to star in classic films like Stripes, Rushmore, Ghostbusters, What About Bob, and Groundhog Day. That's just to name a few. And I freaking love all those movies.
Yes, they're good. He's very good.
He's maybe the first 2/3 of Stripes and then it kind of falls apart. But other than that, he also has won Emmy Awards. He's been nominated for an Academy Award, and he received the Mark Twain Prize for American Humor in 2016. Thanks, Obama. Sorry. I couldn't help it. It was like low-hanging fruit. I had to go for it.
Yes, you had to do it.
He's also known to be an abusive creep who has been a bully in just about every sense of the word on set and off since the beginning of his career, and only in the last year has faced anything resembling consequences. We're also big fans, but this shit needs to be discussed.
Yes.
My sources are Deadline, New York Times, CNBC, Wikipedia, of course. 2 different articles from Vanity Fair. There's a YouTube clip of Bill Murray creeping on Gina Davis on the
God, I've seen that.
Arsenio Hall show 1990. I'll post in the Facebook group as well. Los Angeles Times, Jezebel, The Smoking Gun. There's a YouTube channel. I don't know if you saw this. I sent you the show notes the other day. The top 10 beyond the screen moments for Bill Murray. The woman, the person that's doing the presenting. I say girl because anybody under like 25 is a kid to me. It's not meant to be disrespectful. You think you're bad at pronouncing names, Sonia? Woo! You feel real good about yourself after watching this video.
Can't wait.
Wowzers. Okay. Los Angeles Times podcast Asian Enough with Lucy Liu. Nikki Swift, Entertainment Weekly, the AV Club, New York Post. Page 6, History of Bill Murray Beefs /film. And I got this from the Libby app, my library app, Gina Davis's memoir, Dying of Politeness, which I think you'll really like.
Yeah, I need to read that one.
Yeah, I think I was a lot like, oh, Sonia and Gina would be buds, like right away.
Oh,
Yeah.
thanks for saying that. That's flattering.
She's awesome. She's wicked awesome. Trigger warnings: domestic violence, assault, and workplace abuse. So I'll just give you a background on Bill Murray. William James Murray was born September 21st, 1950. Like I said, he's a comedian. He's also an actor, a writer, producer. He's also directed a few times. He's from a big Irish Catholic family, Evanston, Illinois. 8 siblings. This is old school Irish Catholic. You know, the mother had multiple problems with miscarriages. Catholicism was just like the way it went. 3 of his siblings, John Murray, Joel Murray, and Brian Doyle Murray, are also actors. He has a sister that's a nun.
Oh,
Who's in Michigan now, but she's traveled all over the world. He was in 1967 when he was 17. He lost his father due to diabetes, complications from diabetes. His dad was 46.
damn, that's so young.
It's so young. When he graduated high school, he went to college in Denver, Colorado, of all places. Regis University? I'm not familiar with it.
Oh.
It sounds Catholic. Was studying medicine. He was going to be like the goofy doctor, like a Hawkeye Pierce, I guess, that like, you know.
As long as he's not a Patch Adams.
Jesus, that movie. That needs to go on the dorking out list, by the way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then that means we have to watch it.
Hello.
Blah.
In 1970, he was 20 years old. He was flying to Chicago O'Hare Airport, and he tried to smuggle 10 pounds of pot with him. And he literally had it in the bag sitting next to him on the plane. And he joked with the passenger sharing the row with him that he was packing a bomb. And as soon as they landed, he got arrested by the police and he was on probation.
Oh, my God.
Yeah. He got his career. His brother got him into Second City in Chicago, which is this improv troupe. It's historical. John Belushi was one of the students there, and they became good friends. John Belushi moves to New York to do National Lampoon Radio Hour, and he brings Bill Murray with him. And then Bill Murray gets attached to Saturday Night Live with everybody that's attached to Saturday Night Live at the time. He becomes a huge star. Biggest thing for him and the best thing that ever happened to him is that Chevy Chase, a previous creep that we've covered, by the way, I think it's on the Patreon wall. Chevy left early after only one season, I think, only 1 or 2 seasons, and he went to become a movie star, which Chevy Chase was a huge movie star for a while there.
He was. And this was 100% a thing that used to happen on SNL. It doesn't seem to happen so much anymore. It was almost like your audition to be a comedy superstar,
right,
was to be on SNL, and then you would go on to make movies.
Or you led a TV sitcom on your own.
Yeah.
You know, it was the launching pad for your career. I mean, once you're an SNL member, it's like for life, you get to say that you were an SNL member, even though everybody describes it as a miserable experience. We should probably talk about that one day.
I would love to. I've definitely heard things about Lorne Michaels, and I'm sure you have too.
Yes. So he's in Saturday Night Live for 3 years. He dates Gilda Radner on and off. Has a really great time. New York City, young guy, making a lot of money. He's becoming world famous. Let me just say this to you before I forget. Marriages, there's divorces. He has 6 kids. I don't want to mention the kids because their lives are their own lives. You know, nobody's beholden to their parents' reputations. But I wanted to mention, so I don't forget, in 2007, Murray was pulled over by Swedish police on suspicion of driving a golf cart under the influence of alcohol.
Oh my God. Where was he driving this golf cart? Was it on a golf course? Or was he just on a freeway?
You know what? I didn't look that much into it. Maybe you could look it up. It's Swedish police. Bill Murray,
I just feel like if
2007.
they're pulling you over in a golf cart, you're not on a golf course. Let's look it up. Let's see. Bill Murray. Swedish police stop Bill Murray in a golf. Here we go. I'm sorry. I'm looking it up right now. He was en route to his hotel. I think he was like on the road. Yeah. Well, if you see a golf cart driving along the road, chances are that person's probably drunk. So good job, Swedish police. You solved it.
Murray has this reputation for kind of doing his own thing. He's a Chicago person.
Yes.
He's well known there. He loves all the Chicago teams. He was in the crowd when the Chicago Cubs won the World Series. He's famous for just like, he would pick a person out of the crowd and say, hey, you want to sit next to me? And they would just like hang out with him. He has supposedly no agent, no publicist, no manager. He supposedly has an 800 number. And if you're interested, you leave him a voicemail. If he's interested, he'll get back to you. He's lost some really great gigs, like Who Framed Roger Rabbit. There's a few ones that he was like, he really regretted. He wanted to be in Little Miss Sunshine. There was a lot of them. Monsters, Inc. he lost. I mean, imagine that money.
Answer your phone, dude.
Check your phone.
Answer your phone.
He just doesn't want to be bothered, which is also another thing. Like, I envy, like, to be able to just be like, I just don't want to deal with people. So I'm just going to make it as difficult as possible because everybody wants me. And whatever.
Yeah. Well, if you make it difficult for people and then you don't get the jobs you want, that shit ain't on them. That's on you, my dude.
You know, we've all heard stories about people who are monsters behind the scenes. And there's people now, I've just heard about, you and I were talking about this like a week or so ago about somebody's like really famous and like a total monster, apparently. I did tell you something off the air. Anyway, but he's known for his moodiness. He's also known, like, he likes you. He treats you like, you're amazing. If he doesn't like you, he has a very cold shoulder and he'll make it very obvious that he doesn't like you. My story is I met him once and I made him laugh. And I felt like...
Of course you did. Of course you did.
But it was like a pat on my back kind of moment. But somebody else, I was telling that story to somebody who's in the industry, like, if you were on a set with him, he'd probably be like a puppy dog around you the rest of the time. But if you didn't make him laugh that first day, he might just ignore you. He just might just decide. And it could be man, woman, young, old, good looking, not whatever. Like, he just finds a reason to not like someone or to like someone. He just...
Right.
He's moody as fuck. Dan Aykroyd calls him the Murricane because of his moods.
This is someone who used to pal around with John Belushi.
Yes, exactly. Bill Murray, when Chevy Chase came back, and what was the movie he did with Goldie Hawn?
Oh, Foul Play.
Foul Play. Chevy Chase comes back, and he's a big fucking movie star. He admits he was an asshole. I think he still admits he's an asshole, but that...
Oh, my God. He's still a huge asshole.
He has an enormous ego and really thinks the world of himself. And he shows up at Saturday Night Live and, oh, you losers still doing this? I'm out on a movie set, blah, blah, blah. And Murray got so mad at him that he just charged at Chevy Chase, and they were just beating the snot out of each other. How that story even got out, but
I don't even know who to root for in that fight.
And John Belushi instigated it, and it was in front of Gilda and Jane and Lorraine Newman. Like, they were all there watching this. I mean, and years later, and they became friends eventually. They worked in Caddyshack together. I mean, maybe it's something like men love to say, like, oh, we just fight it out and then we're done, I prefer passive aggressive. But anyway.
Same.
Here's some stories about him on Saturday Night Live. Seth Green. I wrote Seth Rogen. He was 9 years old when he appeared on Saturday Night Live. And backstage, he said this. Murray made a big fuss. He said this on the Good Mythical Morning podcast. Seth was apparently sitting on the armchair, and it was the part of the arm that he wanted to rest on. He didn't want this 9-year-old kid. And so he told him, get the fuck off. And Seth said, no, I'm going to sit here. There's plenty of room, make room for me. 9 years old. Murray picks him up, drags him, and then he puts him over grabs him by the balls, by the way, and throws him on top of a trash can and says, you're going to act like trash. You're going to be in the trash. And this little 9-year-old kid to a 9-year-old.
Come on, dude.
It's inexcusable. He's in his 30s by now. I mean, this is not a young person. Maybe even 40s. Bill Murray's like 72 now. Rob Schneider says that in the 90s, because every once in a while he comes on the show or he'll visit.
Yes.
Or he always does, like, every 5 to 10 years they do like a reunion show. And he said that he hated the crew with like Rob Schneider and David Spade. He hated Adam Sandler. And he most hated Chris Farley and treated him like shit, which broke Chris Farley's heart.
That really upsets me. I'm like, I get it. Rob Schneider sucks, but
Yes.
Chris Farley, come on.
He's a big puppy dog. I mean, he said that it was
Yeah.
because he reminded him too much of John Belushi, and Belushi
I
flamed
wondered
out.
that too.
I never heard of this before, and I think I got this from Vanity Fair. Solange Knowles, that's Beyonce's
Yes.
very talented sister. 2016, this happened. Bill Murray was at a taping, and she was the musical guest. She performed a song called Don't Touch My Hair.
Mm-hmm.
He took that as a reason to try to touch her hair. We all know you do not touch a black woman's hair of anything in the world that's going to get your
Also,
ass beat.
Don't touch people.
You don't touch people. You don't touch people.
Yes. But also, there is a whole thing about like people wanting to touch like black women's hair, and it's
Othering
like
black women.
yes,
Right.
exactly, and it's like no. He's such an asshole. What
So-
an asshole.
Every once in a while, producer Judnick Maynard tweets that because he witnessed this happening. Your yearly reminder that I saw Bill Murray put both hands into Solange's scalp after asking her 3 times if her hair was a wig or not.
Fuck you. It's not your business if it is or not.
It's so
What an
fucked up.
asshole.
Yeah. Like I said, the movies he's done, Stripes, Tootsie, Ghostbusters, Little Shop of Horrors, she's having a baby. I mean, he's just like we said, he's done some amazing stuff, but
Yes.
here's some more shit. In 1988, he was in director Richard Donner's movie, Scrooged.
Really like Scrooged, by the way. I think Scrooged is really funny.
I know some people don't, and I loved it, and then I stopped loving it, and now I love it again.
Yeah.
I get
Yes.
it's too negative for some people.
It's super dark. It's
very dark.
But it makes me laugh really hard.
But Richard Donner said that one of the YouTube clip, the girl kept saying donor. I'm like, no, there's 2 N's.
Even I
The
know
girl,
it's Richard
I'm
Donner.
sorry. He's on the set and he was just very moody and difficult. And Richard Donner supposedly was like one of the loveliest, funnest people to work with. He directed Superman and Lethal Weapon, and usually actors love working with. Gene Hackman was like, I'll do Superman too if it's with you, right? So like he just treat him like shit. It was because at the time he said he was divorcing his first wife, Margaret Kelly. He has a definite type, by the way. So I think actually I could have a chance with him.
You're all, but I don't date creeps.
Oh,
so
no. But he might mellow out. Anyway, Margaret, but they didn't wind up getting actually divorced until like 96. But that's part of the reason. Now we get to Quick Change. This is 1990.
Mm-hmm.
He is co-directing a movie with Howard Franklin. He is there doing this movie with Gina Davis. And once again, her book is called Dying of Politeness. For her audition, he had her meet in a hotel room, which is not a thing we do anymore.
Red flag.
Red flag on the play.
Here we go.
Red
Waving my
flag.
red flag.
She's got a red flag in her hands, folks. He has a sexual massage device, a vibrator. He has a vibrator on him. And it's called the Thumper. And I know.
Sorry, everybody. I'm a
Right
child.
away,
I'm a child.
right away, I'm like, he used it in auditions with women to see if they had a sense of humor. He would reach behind them, pull up the shirt behind their backs, and then put Thumper on them. Now, I don't know if you've used a device or not. First of all, like you hold one out, a vibrator. I'm not going to touch it. I don't care if it just came out of the. I'm a little like what?
Yeah.
But I'm not going to do it in mixed company. I'm not going to do it with a total stranger. He's there with like 2 other people, and he's putting her on a bed, and she said no multiple times, and he wouldn't stop. And I want to go back to really quickly a movie called Meatballs.
Yes.
Which Meatballs, I remember loving this movie, and I tried watching again recently. And there's a woman who plays his girlfriend who's like a camp counselor. And the first time they're in a scene together, he is practically raping this woman on a couch. Like she is trying to get away from him. And he is so relentless. Bill Murray, by the way, 6'2". Like he's a big, big guy. Gina Davis is 6 feet tall.
There's so many movies from that time period that you watch them now and you're like, ew.
Oh, it's a big ew. But we've all been in that position, by the way. We've been with guys that think they're being funny and I'm your friend. We're just goofing around or whatever. It's never
No,
nice.
they're pushing your boundary because they want to see what they can get away with.
Exactly. We learned this in our teenage years. We're not taught to speak out. I mean, thank God this generation is, but
Again, dying of politeness,
dying
right?
of
We're all
politeness. She's lucky to be there. This is Bill Murray. He's a big star. I'm lucky to get this part. By the way, Quick Change is a great movie, by the way. It's about a bank heist. Pretty hilarious.
it's got one of my favorite lines. It's like, what kind of clown are you? Crying on the inside kind, I guess.
There's also a scene where Gina Davis just looks and goes, "You pig." He's just like, "Pig?" He does great faces. He does great reactions. He's great.
He's a funny actor.
I'm not
he is.
taking that away from him. And enjoy.
Yeah,
I'm going to still watch
but
his
he's
movie.
also a fucking creep.
He's a fucking creep. So that's the audition. She gets the job because she eventually lets him use Thumper on her back.
Oh, brother.
I can't imagine.
Just trying to work.
Yeah, she's just trying to fucking work. Anyway, they're filming the movie and she's in her trailer and they're trying to set up and she's doing a scene with the crew, but she doesn't have any lines, but she has to look a particular way because like she's wearing costumes in the movie. And they're putting her together and it's taking a long time to put her together. And it's not her fault. It's just they're just taking a while to get her costume together. Bill Murray starts screaming with one of those, what are those things you put
bullhorns?
Bullhorn. Get out of the truck, get out of the trailer, we're filming. And she's like, I don't know what to do because we're not ready. He goes into the trailer and grabs her, pulls her out, puts her on the set, says, all right, now go. And they just film the scene. She's not ready. She has no time she just has to do it.
Grow up, dude. Grow up.
And how do you think the rest of the crew is going to treat her now that you've shown?
Yeah.
Like nobody ever thinks of that. They only
No, they don't.
In
Well,
front
he
of
doesn't. No.
300 people. And she said part of that was to exert his authority on the set. Mm-hmm. So then we go to 1990 and they're promoting the movie and they're on the Arsenio Hall show. And Arsenio Hall, big show to be on at the time. That was the cool show. He and Gene are on there and Bill Murray could not be sleazier. He's just
oh my
so
God,
handsy.
it's so handsy, so inappropriate.
And I'm sure he thinks he's paying her a huge compliment. And she's she's a beautiful woman dressed to the nines.
She's Gina fucking Davis.
She's Gina fucking
gorgeous.
Davis, right? She's also doing a job. Like this is where everyone's doing their jobs right now. Their job is promoting. And she's married at the time. You know, it's like there's no reason to behave this way. Nobody, but no boundaries. 1991, directed by Frank Oz. What About Bob? A movie I fucking love.
I'm sailing.
I'm baby stepping. I'm doing the work. It's with Richard Dreyfuss. And Richard Dreyfuss is his own thing. We'll probably talk about one day. But he talks about how the experience was completely miserable, that Bill Murray just teased him relentlessly throughout the shoot. Ben Dreyfuss is Richard Dreyfuss's son. He was just a kid at the time when they were filming this, but he saw all this happen. That Bill Murray, at one point, Dreyfuss, he tried to work on the script, like he said, tweak the script. So he was trying to fix the script with Bill Murray, and Bill Murray got so upset with him. He gets in his face and he screams. And he's like a good 7-8 inches taller than Richard Dreyfuss, right?
Yes.
Everyone hates you. You are tolerated. Screaming that in his face. Then he leans back.
Super professional.
I mean, what are you supposed to do with that? Like, no, everyone likes me. Like, what are you going to get in a fight now? You're going to he's a big ass star. He gets away with what he wants. Then Bill Murray takes an ashtray and throws it at him. Like he screams at him and then he throws an ashtray at him. It just misses him. And it weighed almost a pound. Like it was a super heavy fucking ashtray. He said that he was a drunken Irish bully. That was just
wow.
And he says he's forgiven him since then, but they've never worked together since.
Yeah.
Another person is Laura Ziskin. She's a big time Hollywood producer and she produced this movie. Bill Murray one day goes up to her and he wants to take a 3-day weekend. So he asks for an extra day off and she said, no, we got to film. I can't give that to you. He got super mad at her, threw her into a lake, and made
he threw a producer into the lake.
Threw her into the lake and he tried to make it look like it was a big joke, but she knew it was punishment for telling him no. And then he got mad at her about something else, and they were in a parking lot. He then grabbed her sunglasses off her face and then threw them on the ground and jumped on them and broke them and then took off.
Oh my God, what a fucking child.
Yeah. She said she was furious at the time, but she says, I've produced a dozen movies and I can safely say it is not a calm behavior. But that's just, Bill Murray being Bill Murray. He's got to if he doesn't get his way.
He's going to be a dick to you.
Every woman that's ever had to deal with a schmuck, I'm like, but I still think I have a chance.
So you're saying there's a chance?
There's a chance. Okay.
I'm wondering though, like if a male producer told him he couldn't have the day off.
I honestly think he's equal opportunity.
I'm like, would he have thrown a man in a lake though?
Maybe.
Or would he just have been? Maybe.
I think that's the thing for him. I would say this: he's equal to opportunity shithead. He doesn't pick on one particular. It's whoever is in his way.
Good for him.
Yeah, exactly. Progress. He and director Harold Ramis had been friends since the 80s. They were in a lot of movies together. Ramis directed him in a bunch of stuff. R.I.P. Such a funny man.
Ramis.
He was so funny. I have friends that have the biggest crush on him from Ghostbusters. Like,
oh my God. Egon. Egon's
a type.
Just my type.
Yep.
Just my type.
Super intelligent, funny. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So Bill Murray, they work together on Groundhog Day, and apparently, and quite often this happens, the script is not in great shape when they start. Everybody has a different idea of what the tone is and what they're going for. But Bill Murray, just so miserable this entire shoot. He and Ramis had such a hard time communicating what the problems were, what needed to be, whatever, that Harold Ramis said to him, and this is according to his daughter, who wrote a book about her father, Life with My Dad, Harold Ramis, that he told Bill Murray, you know what? I want you to get an assistant, and then we're going to communicate through the assistant, because I can't get anything done. You want me to stop everything to deal with you. So get an assistant and we'll just deal with that. And he said, Bill says, okay. He hires a woman who is deaf and only knows ASL, doesn't do any verbal speaking, and doesn't read lips. And nobody on the set knows ASL, which is American Sign Language, if you don't know.
That puts her in a shitty position. They fired her after a week because, I'm sure they paid her for the whatever, but it still puts her in an awkward place. What's she supposed to do? Right.
Poor
Harold Ramis.
And Harold Ramis was furious. And this went on and on and on. And people say, you can hire Bill Murray. There's no guarantee he'll show up. There's no guarantee he'll be in a decent mood. There's no guarantee he'll have any pages remembered or anything. And Harold Ramis got really sick of it. And they're about equal height. He grabbed Bill Murray by the collar and threw him against a wall at one point, just out of frustration. Bill Murray stopped talking to him and wouldn't talk to him for another 20 years.
Wow.
And that was not until Harold was on his deathbed, basically, in the hospital. And then Bill Murray kind of came. How sad
is that?
Pathetic.
All that wasted time.
I have people I don't talk to, but for good and sufficient reason, not because...
Right. Not because I was a dick and they called me out on it.
Yeah, or we just had a project and it didn't work. I mean, you'd think after a few years, you'd be like, all right.
Right.
We've known each other forever. What's the big deal? Let's fast forward to the year 2000 and Charlie's Angels. Mm-hmm. The director is Mick G.
Yes.
And one of the stars is Lucy Liu.
I love the original Charlie's Angels movie.
Do too.
I think it's so good.
I think it's so the tone is great. I think they work well together. They look great together.
It's so fun. It is such a fun movie.
So he's playing Bosley to these women, and he went up to Lucy Liu on the set, and on the first time they meet each other, and they're all sitting together. So it's Drew Barrymore, Cameron Diaz, Bill Murray, and then the crew. And he's looking around and he stares at Lucy Liu and goes, I'm noticing something. You're different from everybody else here. I wonder what it is. And she's just looking at him. The only Asian person on the set.
Yeah. Yeah, we get it, Bill Murray. That's actually what we're addressing. Actually, what you're pointing out is a problem, but he doesn't think it's a problem. I'm sure he just thinks it's hilarious.
No, he was mad at her. He didn't like the fact that she was hired. He's like, I don't think she's funny. I don't know why. What does she bring to all this? He just hated her on sight and gave her
ridiculous.
a really hard time. And there was a scene where Lucy Liu was like, they all had to learn combat because the angels never use guns. The angels used their fists, and they had like yeah. So she was in a scene, and Bill Murray was being a dick, and she was punching anyway in the scene. So she just turned around and started punching him.
Good for her.
Good for her, because she was tired of his crap. He was constantly like putting her down, like every time she read a line, every time they did a scene together, he just acted like she was the problem.
What an asshole! Because she's a delight.
I
she's
love Lucy Liu. I think she's amazing, and she was hilarious. She's the only good thing about what was that? Callista Flockhart.
Oh, Ally McBeal.
She was great on that.
She was. I agree.
Director McG said that Bill Murray was an asshole, very tough to deal with. He was rude to his actors. He claims that Bill Murray headbutted him. Bill Murray says that's a big fat lie, and he wishes that he had lanced the guy.
I tend to believe McG on this one.
I'm with McG. Let's go to 2004, Wes Anderson's Life Aquatic with Steve Zissou. I can't sit through this movie, but some people love it.
You know what? Wes Anderson movies are an acquired taste. I like most of them, and I have found them to get a little too precious for me as they've gone on.
Right.
I think I wanted Life Aquatic to be more like Rushmore.
I love Rushmore.
So when I saw Life Aquatic the first time, I was like, meh. But then I saw it again and liked it more the second time.
Well, Angelica Houston didn't like working with him.
This does not surprise me.
Once again, he just picked somebody he doesn't like on a set. And he, for whatever reason, decided he didn't like her. So she told Vulture, and she also had her own autobiography. They were filming in Italy, the whole shoot. Mm-hmm. And pretty early into the whole production, he made a big deal about having a big dinner with the entire cast. He invited every single person except her.
That's so fucked up. That's really fucked up.
That's mean.
It's just mean.
It's just mean. Like my mom says, we invite all the kids or we invite none of the kids. Like when I had a birthday party, like you have to, you don't do that to people. You don't make them feel excluded.
And it puts everybody in this shitty position.
All the actors shared. They lived at the same hotel. They were all stayed in the same hotel. And she's like, she could feel it. She started crying because they're all getting ready to go. And they're all looking at her like, we're sorry. What do? We can't say no. They could. Exactly. Yeah. I mean, they could band together and take him aside.
But he put them in a shitty position.
He put everyone in a shitty position. So she was super, super hurt by that. And then later in the shoot, they were in Florence. And he went up to her and goes, I haven't seen you in a while. How are you? You look great. I missed you. And she's like, you're full of shit. You don't miss me.
Fuck you.
And he says, what are you talking about? And she explained what he did. And she said, like, he was really sorry. He didn't realize he had done it. I'm like, he's now in his 60s, like 50s and 60s. Like, come on.
She should have invited everyone to dinner except for him.
I think, the going away party.
Mm-hmm.
Later on, she said, though, when her husband died, he showed up. Not only did he go to the funeral, she said he actually showed up and like checked in on her and said nobody else really did. So maybe there's some hope. This is not fun. Murray's second wife is Jennifer Butler. They were married 2008. They were married for about 11 years. He was divorced in 96, and I think they got married in 97. And she's from the business. Like, she was in costumes and designs, but she'd done some acting as well. And they were living in South Carolina. And they moved to South Carolina. They had a place in New York and a place in LA, like everybody does, and the Hamptons and shit like that. But his drinking was so bad. She said it was adultery, addiction to marijuana and alcohol, abusive behavior, sexual addictions, and frequent abandonment. Right? So She had him move to Charleston, South Carolina, and they had 4 sons. They filed for divorce in 2008. She had said that adultery and the abusive behavior, she said one time he punched her in the face and said that she was lucky he didn't kill her. She had, when she filed for divorce and he gave her a hard time about paying her and shit like that. Just pay the fucking money. What do you mean? Seriously. Yeah. Own your shit. She had to get a restraining order. And this is how like nasty things get. I looked this up and I'll send it to you.
I've never heard this. I've never heard this stuff about Bill Murray.
You didn't know that? Mm-mm. It was in the papers. So
I don't remember.
She files for divorce, and that's in late May, like around Memorial Day. So in the New York Post, they post a story June 8th, and I'll send you a copy of this. I've do a Google search and it comes up.
Yeah.
Cops call on boozy wife of Bill Murray. So she's drunk at her house and she's like talking loud and her neighbors call the cops. So like all of a sudden all these cops show up. And so Bill Murray's people are planting this story to Page 6. That's what I'm saying. His lawyer or somebody did that shit, did her dirty.
Yes.
She passed away a couple of years ago. So anyway, so the last thing we'll talk about today is the movie Being Mortal, which I don't know even what state it is now, but it's based on a book. It's being directed by Aziz Ansari. And last April, Murray showed up on set, essentially straddled a woman in a chair and attempted to kiss her in front of the whole crew and was grabbing at her. They had to shut production down because there were witnesses everywhere.
What the fuck?
And it was really bad. Because this isn't even like, this is low-level Murray, but he was really going at it.
Aziz Ansari's all, God damn it. I'm trying to make a comeback here, you prick.
For being a handsy asshole. Yes.
Yes.
So Bill Murray was like, he gets fired from the set. They had to shut the production down. And he basically had to pay $100,000. And it was described in one of the articles to the much younger female crew member. At the time, so yeah, when the Times asked him about like his attitude, he says, "Look, I will dismiss you completely if you're unprofessional and working with me. When our relationship is professional and you're not getting that done, forget it." Which is bullshit. He's doing this to people.
Yes,
he's being the most unprofessional of everybody. There's nothing professional about any of this.
No, he gets to do whatever he wants. Everyone else needs to do what he wants them to do, or they're being unprofessional.
Exactly. Yes. His needs being met is like a really upsetting thing, and everyone needs to make it their problem.
Yes.
That's our creep this week.
Child.
Yes. Bill Murray.
Good job, friend.
Thank you, my friend.
I hadn't heard some of these stories. What a creep.
Yeah. It's really messed up.
That's like the definition of creep. Like in that, we've done a lot of
serial killers,
serial killers and rapists and murderers and things like that. But when most of the time when women are like, what a creep, they're talking about someone like Bill Murray,
who gets
like
away
someone
with
who
it.
Gets away with it, maybe just pushes it a little too far. That's a creep. Good job.
And they're surrounded by people who just like to be around him, so they don't say anything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he has made a lot of really good movies, and
he has and enjoy them.
Yeah, and he brings something to his productions that make people want to work with him. Like, I get it. There's a trade-off, you know, of what and that sucks.
Especially like you're 70 years old and you're pulling this shit. Like,
yeah, seriously,
really?
Grow up, dude. Grow up.
Taking
Here's the thing, and the stories that like you're telling, that just means there's even more out there. They're just not being told, right?
Those are the ones that people feel comfortable sharing. There are so many people on Saturday Night Live that would love to say more and feel like they can't.
For sure.
Please. I mean,
yeah.
Yeah, I do. Let me, why don't we take a break? I'm going to refill my drink and then you'll take us to where our non-creep is.
Okay, let's talk about our non-creep. I'm pretty sure you know who this person is. We're going to talk about Gilda Radner. So Gilda Susan Radner was born June 28th, 1946 in Detroit.
Cancer.
Her mother was
She was a Cancer. Sorry. That's how.
Yes. Spoilers, Margot. Her mother was Henrietta. I love like old timey names, and Henrietta is one of those.
Yeah.
And her father was named Herman, another old timey name. Her mother was a legal secretary. Her father was a businessman. And she was named Gilda. It's so funny. Her parents were like, she was named after her grandmother, but her grandmother's not named Gilda. Basically, it's the letter G is like from the grandmother, but the name is actually from the very famous movie with Glenn Ford and Rita Hayworth. So that's where she got the name Gilda. She always had eating disorders. This is one of the things that's really sad about Gilda Radner. We all know who Gilda Radner is, and like she was always very, very thin, and she was like that from a very young age. She said that she would binge eat and then she would like starve herself, so her weight would go up to like she's little, and she'd get up to like 160 pounds, and then she'd be like 93 pounds. And her mom was so worried about her weight that she took her to a doctor, and they put her on diet pills. She was 10 years old. That'll like really mess with your head
And your metabolism.
Poor thing. Yeah. So a lifelong issue with like eating disorders. She attended the University of Michigan. She dropped out her senior year and to follow a boyfriend who was going to Toronto.
That's something I would do.
Yeah. And while she was there, she appeared in a 1972 production of Godspell, and her fellow castmates, this is bananas, Eugene Levy, Andrea Martin, Victor Garber, Martin Short, and Paul Schaefer.
Never heard of any of these people.
Yeah, they're all who I don't know. While she was doing that, she also had an on-again, off-again relationship with Martin Short. From there, she joined Second City, which is obviously very famous. She was a featured player in National Lampoon Radio Hour, which we talked about with Bill Murray was on there, but also John Belushi, Chevy Chase, Richard Belzer, the Bells. Bill Murray, and then his brother, Brian Doyle Murphy.
Very funny actor, by the way.
Yes, he is, for sure. After that, it was Saturday Night Live. She was the first of the not ready for primetime players. She was the first person cast for SNL. And it was a lot of these same people, Chevy Chase, Bill Murray, John Belushi, all these people. She wrote and performed a lot of her own material there. She collaborated with another writer named Alan Zweibel. Zweibel, thank you. Richard Donner. No. And she had a lot of really great sketch. Like, go back and watch like Best of Gilda Radner, Rosanna Dana, her Barbara Walters. Yeah, so funny.
Lisa Loebner.
She's just a delight. Yes. She had a reoccurring skit that she would do with Bill Murray where they were like these dorks. And she did have like several flings with male cast members on SNL, including Bill Murray, who apparently treated her horribly.
Yeah.
I guess we shouldn't be surprised by that. She also went out with his brother, and she went out with Dan Aykroyd. And I'm like, girl, get it. I get it. Apparently she also
Aykroyd was hot.
She also hooked up with Harold Ramis at one point, and
Good
she
for
told
you.
friends, same. By the way, I totally would have hooked up with all of these people.
Absolutely. Are you kidding me?
There's no judgment here. She told a friend once that she couldn't watch the movies Ghostbusters because it included so many of her ex-boyfriends. And I'm like, what a shame, because it's such a good movie, but I get it.
If she grabbed Ernie Hudson, I'd be super jealous.
And she starts going out with Walter, the guy who plays Walter Peck. She goes out with Rick Moranis. She goes out with Sigourney Weaver. I get it.
She goes out with Zool.
There is no Gilda, only Zool. She did Broadway in 1979. She did a show called, it was like Gilda Radner live from New York. And it was like kind of this like racier material that she couldn't do on SNL. Yes, it was. And it was filmed. It was directed by Mike Nichols, and it was released in theaters as Gilda Live. During that Broadway production is when she met G.E. Smith, who we also all know. He was in Hall & Oates, and then he was also one of the musicians on SNL. And they were married in 1980, but it didn't last long because the following year she did a movie called Hanky Panky with Gene Wilder. And it was like love at first sight when they met. She broke up with G.E. Smith, and she was with Gene Wilder from then on.
Can't blame her.
They made The Woman in Red together after that. They got married in 84, and they made one more movie together called Haunted Honeymoon. And while filming Haunted Honeymoon, she was feeling like really fatigued, like really tired all the time. And she had an eating disorder for most of her life. So I think there was a lot of like, it's the symptom of that. And so she's going to the doctor over and over and over. 10 months later, they diagnosed her with ovarian cancer. It took them 10 months to figure out what was wrong with her. So awful. Stage 4 ovarian cancer. Fuck cancer, by the way. So she immediately underwent surgery. She had a hysterectomy. They removed a grapefruit-sized tumor from her abdomen. It's so upsetting. And she had to do chemo and radiation. And that shit is really painful. It's like physically painful. It's emotionally painful. It's a lot. Her cancer went into remission, but then it came back like a year later. She also wrote a book during this time called It's Always Something, where she talked a lot about what she was going through. In May 1989, she went into the hospital to get a CT scan so that they could see where the cancer is and all this stuff. And they gave her a sedative. And from then on, she went into a coma and she did not wake up. It's really, really sad. And it's really scary because you're going in for a CT scan is not.
No, I would do it at lunchtime.
It ain't no thing.
Right.
Like, and they give you a sedative because CT scans, MRIs, things like that. Sometimes you're in like a tube and it can be very claustrophobic. So it's super common to give people a sedative so that maybe you kind of sleep while you're in there so you don't freak out. But she never woke up. She died 3 days later. It's so awful. But the cause of death is ovarian cancer. One of her things that she had told Gene Wilder when, during the second time she was dealing with this was that she wanted her struggles, her illness to be used to help other people. So from there, like he established the Gilda Radner Hereditary Cancer Program at Cedars-Sinai. It's about getting screening for people who are high risk. Like we know this stuff now. This is hereditary. Cancer can be hereditary, and you can do a lot of tests to like see if you have the genes for this sort of thing. But that wasn't it wasn't common knowledge at the time. And so they started this program to help identify people that are higher risk, get them those screenings that they need. It turned out it took her 10 months to get diagnosed. If she had been diagnosed earlier, early prevention is catching the shit early is the key always. And it's just really sad. The whole thing really upsets me. After she died, Gene Wilder really took with her memory, like went and did the things that she asked him to do. And he testified before a congressional committee about this, like trying to get more money for research. A ton of people started registering in the it's called the Familia Ovarian Cancer Registry. It's like a database that you can like register in for research. All these people started doing it. Oh, and then he also started something called Gilda's Club because she had written in her book getting cancer and surviving cancer makes you like you're part of an elite club that I'd rather not belong to.
Mm-hmm.
And so he called it Gilda's Club, and it's a place where people could, it's all over the country and all over Canada, and it was like provided like emotional and social support for cancer patients, but also to their friends and family, because we need to take care of those people too so that they can best support the people who have cancer. And eventually that merged with something called the wellness community. So if you see something called like wellness community or a cancer support community, those are connected to Gilda's Club. So if you see those, they started from Gilda's Club. So that's our non-creep Gilda Radner. I'm sorry if I got a little scattered at the end. This one hits me a little hard.
Do you remember when she was on the Gary Shandling show?
Yes.
So Gary Shandling, before he had the Larry Sanders show, he had the Gary Shandling show on Fox, and he played this guy who he broke the fourth wall and just talked to the audience the whole time.
It had the best theme song. It was like,
this is the theme to Gary show.
The Gary show. The theme to Gary show. This is the song that you listen to as you watch the credits.
Alan Zweibel was a part of it. It's
so good.
It was so good. She appeared on the show and she had been sick and nobody had heard from her in a while. And when she showed up, if you watch that clip, I'm going to cry because it's like the thundering applause from the audience. People loved Gilda. Like no one had a problem with Gilda Radner ever. And and she just looked so happy and triumphant. And
apparently one of the last times everyone from SNL saw her was Lorraine Newman had a birthday party and Gilda showed up and everybody was there. And like, she was getting ready to, a bunch of I think it was like Bill Murray and like, I don't remember who the other people were, but a couple of them like picked her up and they were like carrying her around so that she could like say goodbye to everybody and goodbye. I think it was like, hey, bye, see you later. I'm leaving the party. But like it turned out it was the last time that they were. Yeah. It's just really fuck cancer.
Fuck cancer, man. Nice job, Sonia.
Thank you.
Okay, everyone. That's the episode this week. We'll be back soon next week with a whole new creep. It'll be my birthday in between. Just keeping that out there, March 29th. Write that down.
Birthday week.
That's what it's going to be. So, Sonia, we also co-host a show called Dorking Out, where we dork out about movies. What are we going to be dorking out about next?
I'm so excited. This shit's my favorite. So Adam is coming on, Adam Risky from F This Movie, and we are taking on another 90s thriller. We are going to talk about The Crush, starring Alicia Silverstone. I'm really, really excited because I know this movie's bananas.
It's gonna be
so fun. So be on the lookout for that one.
Also, please follow us on all the social media things that we mentioned before, and please send us your suggestions for creeps and also non-creeps. We have a hard time finding non-creeps sometimes, and especially you're all over the world. So wherever you are, we love learning about new creeps and non-creeps. Reach out to us, and we love it when you use the Annie Potts gift. We got one from Ghostbusters. Talking a lot about Ghostbusters today, aren't we?
Yes, it's true. This man has no dick.
He's great in there. He's really, really funny in that movie. Okay.
Damn you, Bill Murray.
Murray. Okay. whatacreeppodcast@gmail.com. Reach out to us and let us know if you want some stickers or just give us your ideas. Tell us where you listen to us. We love listening to those kind of stories. Yeah. We have a bonus ep for the Patreon members coming out next week. And in the meantime, stay safe, be kind. Don't be a creep.
Don't be a creep. Thank you for listening to us talk about creeps. You can follow us at What a Creep Podcast on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.
But don't follow us too closely.
You can email us your creepy stories at whatacreeppodcast@gmail.com.
But please keep your dick pics to yourself.